Remember, the key to success is working hard. For our country, we must have regard. Forget all your differences, let we start to build. And onward to progress we surely will. Because now, more than ever, we must show discipline, tolerance, and production to build a strong and better nation. I say that is the main foundation. So come let us work hand in hand, because this is our land. Come my brother, come my sister, and let us build a nation together.
Come, my brother, come, my sister, and let us build Grenada, Carriacou, and Petite Martinique together. This is our home. We have a duty to make it better for our children and children. I want to welcome you to the hub. Again, it is a unique opportunity that we have to talk using social media and radio to connect. If you're viewing me on Facebook and YouTube, please share the live. Sharing is caring. If you're listening to me on Vibes 101.3 FM and 106.3 FM, please tell your neighbor, tell your friend that I am on. The hub is on. I want to start off tonight by saying to you, whenever you see the NNP and their surrogates attacking Kim Jones, it means we are doing something good. The pressure is mounting on them. So what they did was to go and take a little piece of a program that I did speaking about the NNP mashing up and speaking about Keith Mitchell doing X and doing Y. And they joined that with another little piece that they got from another program to give people the impression that Kim Jones said X and said Y. They did that recently when the pressure was mounting on them. So anytime you see they start doctoring videos and audio and trying to join up thing and trying to circulate thing, it means that the pressure is mounting. The NNP at this point in time is chaos. The NNP represents instability. The NNP represents confusion. The NNP represents regression. The NNP represents jealousy. The NNP represents hate. And you're seeing it playing out openly. They're divided. They're fighting in the open. When you listen to Keith Mitchell on the Beyond the Headlines program last night, one thing that comes to mind, NNP done. NNP finish. Because here you have Peter David, who made it clear that he is putting himself up for the leadership of the NNP. We heard Keith Mitchell on many occasions talk about that's his last and his last and his last. He's exiting. So obviously, people within his party who believe that they can be leader of the party would put themselves up. So Peter spoke And the minute time Peter David opened his mouth and announced that he will go up for leader of that party, everything turned old mass. And then you have Emlyn Pay, who is always like a snake, playing in a kind of way that she on the side of Keith Mitchell, because if he backs out, then his supporters will support her. It's a game, you know. It's a big game that they're playing. And then you have poor Dwight Horsford. They drag the guy into this mess, and he is a little fish in a big, big, big ocean, fighting to survive. So Keith Mitchell was asked about all of them. He said, well, you know, Dwight Horsford, the guy just wetting his feet, he now comes, so to speak, and he has to do the work. So definitely Dwight is not any front runner in any, you know, competition for leadership right there and then. Then they asked him about Emlyn Pay. He had nice things to say about her, because really and truly, what Keith wants to do is to have Emlyn Pay go up as a team with him. So they're going up as a like leader and deputy. All right, it's like a trump card. That's the slate. They're going up as a slate because he wants the votes in the countryside, the delegates in the countryside. So the 4 constituencies in St. Andrew, he knows that if he can have her on board as a slate, so Keith Mitchell, leader, Emlyn Pay, deputy, then he stands a chance. Because Peter has been doing his ground game, dealing with the delegates, working with them to get their support. So he knows where Peter David support lies. He's not stupid. All right? So we saw an ally of Peter David. That's Kennedy Bulldog or Bulldala, or whatever they call him. He was on Real FM with this Sunday program, and even during the week, he was a big commentator, pundit. He was a guy out there, but they know that he could do damage to the Keith Mitchell chances, to Keith Mitchell's chances of becoming leader again, because he was alleged to be doing some groundwork for Peter. What did they do? They put a gag order on him. They told him, well, you can't say this and you can't say that. Tutus, he disappeared. They knew what they had to do to make him disappear. All right? So Peter, on a stage with Keith Mitchell at the General Council, that was the breaking point to me. Because any man who would sit and take such embarrassment and take such humiliation, something has to be totally wrong with them, right? So the first real embarrassment that Peter got was at the General Council. I mean, we have seen things before. We have heard things before. But that one was the worst. We have heard Keith Mitchell say all kinds of things about Peter in many different ways. But I am telling you, the worst was when Peter David was at the General Council of the new National Party. We're going to get to last night's Beyond the Headlines program and what was said. But the worst, that was the start. Let me see. The worst and the start of the embarrassment, of the insults, and Peter David stayed right there on the stage and he accepted all the humiliation.
Sisters and brothers who seek to divide our party said, I don't believe we must hide anything. We have to talk. Morris hide a lot of things. and he faces death. Keith Mitchell ain't going down that road. There are those who seek to divide our party and our country with underhand maneuverings, funding media platforms of individuals to attack and spread propaganda on the NNP and its leadership. I don't know what they're going to do with Keith Mitchell again. They can't leave me alone. Even I'm talking about leaving, but they're still attacking me every night, every morning, every day. They can't leave the man alone. Leave me to rest. Leave me alone. Because what they say, if you play with things with fever, you will get fever. You remember that story? Sisters and brothers, we are not in this for selfish means for power. I want to sound an alarm today again, sister, but within a new national party. That new national party would not be hijacked by anyone whatsoever. You hear me? This new national party will not be hijacked by anyone whatsoever. I've been in around this party for 40 years. And convention coming, we've never gone to people coming and tell me, oh, people coming to them and asking them to pay them money to vote for them in convention. We never had that before. Where this thing come from? Where this thing come from? Where this thing come from? Paying people to come and vote in a convention? Man, God, are you crazy? And you want Keith Mitchell to keep his mouth shut? I go talk. I encourage you, the loyal supporters of this party, to stay focused. Be more inquiring. Question the motives of those who continually attack and push propaganda about the party's leadership. You must question that. When you hear some of them who claim to have been NMP supporters attacking the leadership. If you are an NMP sympathizer, how could you be attacking the leadership of the party? Choops. Choops. This party will not be destroyed by a few persons who do not truly care about the NNP and Grenada. Get it right. Our party has had hostile attacks before from both inside and outside.
Right. So that was the first public embarrassment Peter faced, meaning on the stage right there and then. Before all the audios I played with Keith Mitchell in the parliament accusing Peter for all kind of things, it was not a situation where, you know, Peter and him was close and they were together and that kind of thing. But Peter joined the NNP and Keith in the general council, with Peter being there sitting on the stage, the man decided to embarrass Peter David. And Peter stayed there and he take it. All right? But Keith continued.
Sisters and brothers, that we have talent abound in this party. That in the right time to come, sooner than later, without fear, sisters and brothers, a child from this noble political training school, sisters and brothers, a child from this noble NNP training school who has been in the belly of the NNP, who knows and experiences the highs and lows of this party. Someone who has the leadership skills Someone who has genuine love for people. Someone who is selfless in service. Someone who comes from the belly and the bowels of the new National Party. Will lead this party while I can relax at home and watch in peace. I deserve that. I want to sit in my rocking chair. I want to sit in my rocking chair and watch the NMP flourish. For sisters and brothers, it's only a child of the house can truly appreciate and represent what it means to be a true NNP. Because they know no other way but the NNP way, sisters and brothers.
Was Keith Mitchell embarrassing Peter further? And Peter stayed there and he took all the embarrassment, all the humiliation. But some people believe that Peter may have the numbers. He may have the delegates on his side. So Keith Mitchell, fearing that Peter, having the delegates on his side, may get the party, may run away with the party, Keith Mitchell decided, well, I'm going public. I'm going to humiliate this man. I'm going to embarrass the man. And I don't care what happens, because the party is mine and I am the party. I make this thing to what it is. But mind you, NNP is not Keith Mitchell party. That's the party of Hubert Blaze. And Keith Mitchell could tell you, he knows what he did to end up leader of the NNP. So he's fearful that Peter will do the same thing to him to take the NNP away from him. So that is why he went out there and made those pronouncements. But hear this. Some people believe that Keith Mitchell will back off and will retire peacefully. But Keith Mitchell is power hungry. This guy is not going to back off just like that. He still believes that he is a John Crumpton. In his old age, the people would think of him in his old age. And as John Crumpton, he died in power. So Keith Mitchell believes that is where he wants to say goodbye. So the guy last night on the Beyond the Headlines program was asked a particular question about Peter David, firstly.
That wasn't your words, it's mine. You may take it personally and not realize it was an opportunity to grow. So the next name, somebody who has been speaking up, is Peter David. What role do you see for Peter David in the party moving forward?
Well, Peter and I have had conversation, and one thing you know about me, I don't like to be dishonest about it. I told Peter I'm concerned about things that I'm here. I've told him so, and I've told him also that the question of trust is very important in anything you do. And if you're in a business, I have to be able to trust you. You might have certain skills and so on, and that's an area that's work in progress. It's not there yet.
What can you say may have been the betrayal of trust?
Yeah, I didn't hear that.
What would you say was the betrayal of trust that would have brought about
I would not go into that.
Right. No, so he will not go into that. He will not tell us why he don't trust Peter. But he trusted Peter when Peter and his gang left the NDC or were expelled from the NDC. And we know why they expelled them. But he trusted Peter to come wholesale in the NNP. So all of a sudden now, Peter decides, I am vying for the leadership of the NNP. He's going for the leadership of the NNP because Keith Mitchell announced that this would be his last. But Peter was fooled into believing Keith Mitchell. But all of a sudden, Keith Mitchell don't trust Peter, but he trusted Peter when Peter left or was expelled from the NDC, and he went straight into the NNP. In fact, they were very cozy up, for a want of a better word. When NDC was in power, they always used to grin and laugh. And you remember those days? In 2008, 2013? And people start asking questions. How they so close? How they gigi and so? Huh? Don't forget that. So Peter is getting a taste of what he did to Tillman Thomas. Because Peter was the ringleader when all the whole gang decided they're not going and take the oath. They thought they were bigger than Tillman Thomas. So he couldn't assign them any ministry. They're not going for this one or that one. And they disrespected Uncle Tilly. So Peter is getting a taste of his own medicine. But here it is. Some people believe that Keith Mitchell would not run again, and he's not interested in running again. Well, here it is. Keith Mitchell is power hungry. The guy is power hungry. Hear what he had to say regarding running.
Of Keith Mitchell, candidate for NNP, but at the same time, Keith Mitchell is not the political leader of the NNP. Is that a possibility in unfolding?
No. That possibility will not exist. If I am not running, if I decide to run, it would be on the basis that I would be continue to be the prime minister of the country and lead the party, and that's so. If I'm not running, rest assured, the fact to the fundamental thing would be because I believe the party needs new leadership. So that is the criteria. So I hope I'm very clear on this. So if you hear I'm not running, it's because I've come to the conclusion that the party is in a better position to have a new leader.
Hold on. So you heard what Keith Mitchell said there? Let me play that over again because some people may have missed the latter part of that pronouncement by Keith Mitchell. You're hearing if, and if I decide, and if I... That's the same Keith Mitchell who said to the audience and his supporters that would be his last, and last this and last that. Look, this guy is trying to fool some people, but the people with wisdom, he can't fool them.
Of Keith Mitchell, candidate for NNP, but at the same time, Keith Mitchell is not the political leader of the NNP. Is that a possibility in unfolding?
No. That possibility will not exist. If I am not running, if I decide to run, it would be on the basis that I would be continue to be the prime minister of the country and lead the party, and that's so. If I'm not running, rest assured, the fact.
If I am not running,
So the fundamental thing would be because I believe that the party needs new leadership. So that is the criteria. So I hope I'm very clear on this. So if you hear I'm not running, it's because
if you hear not running,
because I've come to the conclusion that the party is in a better position to have a new leader.
Right. So look, folks, Keith Mitchell at 78 or going on to 78, he still believes that he stands a chance. And as a result, you realize his performance in the parliament when the speaker respectfully asked him to withdraw his statement that he made about the Honorable Tevin Andrews. This thing was planned. Keith Mitchell planned that charade. he planned that performance because he wanted to go out there and make a fool of himself, because he's acting like a clown at those zonal meetings and whatever meetings he having around the island. But he knew beforehand what he intended to do. That was a strategy. That's the same playbook he used in 2008 to 2013. So he went in the parliament to create this drama, this confusion. And then he decided to walk out, to leave the parliament, and then his friends in the media interviewed him, and that caused him to get this national platform to vent, to say X and say Y. Well orchestrated. It was a plan he had. He went out there and all kind of meetings with the same set of people that they bossing to nearly all the meetings. But so be it. And it is a plan also, I believe, that he had to embarrass Peter David publicly at the General Council meeting and make this allegation that people are offering delegates money for their votes come the convention. So I believe it's a plan. That's my belief. Because he wants to give his supporters this false idea. Because the guy is a coward. Keith Mitchell is a coward. And he's fearful that what happened during that convention at SAS, was it SAS or McDonald College? I think it was SAS, where Papa Blaze was told, I'm not going to run against you. I'm not going to challenge you. Don't worry. Papa Blaze now thought, well, the man or whoever said so was genuine and sincere. On the floor of the convention, he organized that, the individual organized to have his name thrown in the ring. They nominated him and seconded the motion and voted for him, leaving Papa Blaze very disappointed. So Papa Blaze was the prime minister, and the other individual was the leader of the party. All right? So I am saying what we are seeing now, the individual is fearful that a similar thing like that could happen to him. Because Peter David is on the ground, organizing, mobilizing, and making sure that this individual gets defeated. But the NNP is in chaos. There is fighting taking place right now between three different factions within the NNP. They're fighting among themselves for position, for leadership, and all this kind of stuff. There's a serious level of confusion within the NNP. And they don't want to leave that confusion within the NNP. They want to roll that thing over in the country. So they want confusion in the country now, not just in the NNP. They're tired with the confusion in the NNP. They want to see more confusion. So they're trying their best to sow seeds of discord, to sow seeds of instability in different ministries and different departments and different places throughout the country. And I'm talking about the pundits and surrogates of the NNP. That is exactly what they're doing. Because they want to see Grenada at a place where there is chaos, there is instability, there is confusion, there is bacchanal, there is uneasiness. That is what they want. So it's not only the NNP now they want this thing to be, they are rolling this thing out within the country. That is why they announce that they're going to be marching in the streets against cost of living and against this and against that. But they did the same thing between 2008 to 2013 when they went on All Fool's Day, April the 1st or so, and march in Grenville for the lowering of the high cost of living. So they're trying the same thing this time around. The same thing. Because they believe that Grenadians forget them. And they believe Grenadians are going to fall for that trick again. That is what they believe. So this guy is a very divisive figure. This guy is tribal. You heard Keith Mitchell during that parliament sitting some years back speaking about Peter David. And some people were shocked how Peter David didn't realize that Keith Mitchell was actually serious when he was letting go some blows on Peter. Peter took it as a joke. He thought this thing was a joke, you know. But Keith Mitchell was serious about what he was saying about Peter David. The man never wanted Peter David around him. He used Peter David. But if somebody say those nasty things about me, I don't want to be around them. This is what Keith Mitchell said about Peter David in the past.
Here is a gentleman purporting to be, he said they assigned him the task, the member for the town of St. George. He was being assigned the task to keep on top of the Rice Steiner issue, the briefcase issue. Imagine the biggest fraudster has been assigned to deal with the fraud to the Rice Steiner briefcase issue. That's his task. That's why he was speaking today on, and he telling me, I ain't talking about you, Prime Minister. He has been assigned, and he's the one, every time he's on a platform, the NNP is the biggest set of crooks. Imagine who talking about crookedness. Look who talking about crookedness, Mr. Speaker. This is a gentleman who was alleged, Mr. Speaker, right? Besides all the things that he did in New York, that he was, during the time of the revolution, he was behind his father with a gun.
So this guy was speaking about Peter David. Peter David. If a person could say such a thing about you, you have to be watchful, mindful on your P's and Q's when it comes to that person. But Peter David still went ahead and cozy up with Keith Mitchell. Keith said this also about Peter David.
Men exist on that side of the house. And that's why we kept saying, Mr. Speaker, we'll have to unmask those masked men. Mr. Speaker, this is a gentleman, the honorable member for the town of St. George, who when his own mother-in-law decided to speak the truth and admit that he was a citizen, he launched one of the most vicious attacks ever a mother-in-law has had to face by a son-in-law, Mr. Speaker. He has no conscience at all. Just get between him and power. He could be his mother, his father, his mother-in-law. They will face the pen, Mr. Speaker. That's the character of the individual.
Yes, that's Keith Mitchell, you know, talking about the character of Peter David. That's Keith.
But they're spreading the venom. People used to pass me and cussing me because they think I'm stealing their money. I see a member one day I'm walking out to here, Mr. Speaker, and a member, and it's always associated with the member for the town of St. George. I am convinced, Mr. Speaker, that there's a mindset in that member for the town of St. George. No matter what you see doing, this man is doing is a dangerous man. I believe he has a mind that is twisted, Mr. Speaker, because his friend was the one that nearly ran me down in Granmore.
Yeah, so that's Keith Mitchell talking about Peter David, you know. And Peter David still went and sleep in the political bed of the NNP and Keith Mitchell. The guy left after being expelled and go straight in the house. And they tricked Peter, making him believe that he was welcome. But they already know that Peter is ambitious. He wants power. They saw what he did in NDC and how he treated Uncle Tilly. So they bait him. They bait Peter. And just so they bait Dwight Horsford too. They bait Dwight Horsford. Keith don't like Dwight Horsford. Keith never treated Dwight Horsford nicely. In fact, I heard Keith speaking about Dwight Horsford being intelligent and smart. And look, he left Grenada and he went out there and he was Attorney General and so on. Do you know that under the NNP, Dwight Horsford couldn't get to be Attorney General? They made him Solicitor General. The guy was, under the Attorney General here. So if you know that the man's so bright and he's so brilliant, why didn't you make him Attorney General? But now, for convenience, Keith Mitchell wants to say, well, Dwight Bright and he this and he that. The people already see through Dwight Horsford. Dwight Horsford took the bait from Keith Mitchell, in my belief. It is sad, right? But that's how Keith treats all of them. Keith Mitchell never treated Dwight Horsford nicely in the past. I know what I'm talking about. He treated this guy badly. But he wants somebody to come and help him now to get rid of Peter David, because Keith's strategy, and let me tell you that tonight, Keith Mitchell's strategy is to frustrate Peter so much, embarrass Peter so much, that Peter will just pick up and resign and run from the NNP. So even before the convention, Peter gone. That is what Keith wants. Keith hope that can happen. But Peter is taking all the humiliation. He's taking all the embarrassment. He's taking everything and he remaining there. Because Peter believes that he has the numbers to give Keith a good political blow come the convention. And because of that, the NNP is fragmented. The NNP in real mess. Real mess. It's all kind of faction within the NNP. But you see, Peter really has his belly. Peter, you have your belly, yes, boy? Peter, you have guts like Boli. Keith took Peter's manhood away from him, you know. It's like a man in a house with a woman, and the woman going to work, and Peter has to remain at home because he has no work, and the woman working. He can't pay no bill, nothing like that. So the woman has Peter in the house, and that's an analogy. The woman has Peter in the house, washing she drawers, washing she everything, right? Not panty. Washing she drawers, washing she clothes, ironing it, having cooking, sweeping, mopping, and still she bringing her next man in the house and he can't say nothing. She putting blows on him. That is what Keith Mitchell did to Peter, in my belief. Keith Mitchell took Peter's manhood away from him and have Peter politically washing drawers. Peter David is right now washing drawers. And if he open him out too much, you know what he will get. That is exactly what Keith Mitchell, in my belief, did to Peter David. Took away his manhood. And anytime you take a man, you take away somebody's manhood. You have a problem? Real problem. So this guy there like a pupu nunu. Peter David is in the house like a pupu nunu. Right? Dwight Horsford come and join him on the same bench because they cannot sit on the couch. On the same bench. And they bring Dwight to see how they could cause Peter to run out of the house. Because they thought, well, Peter go for it, Dwight. He go run out of that old house. Right? So the man that washing the drawers, the old pupu nunu Peter David, and they bring Dwight Horsford, who was badly treated by the same Keaton NNP, in my belief. Boy, watch me, it's real commerce, you know. That is jab, yes? That is real jab in the NNP, you know. The NNP have real problems. And then you have Emlyn Pay. She's a snake. And watch me. Is when Emlyn Pay start to speak, and you hear she go down in this kind of tone. You know, You watch them go to church on a Sunday, and then the Monday, you see them shoo-shooing, counting, planning, all kind of nasty thing. You know, the kind of voice, the kind of tone. Yeah. Emlyn Pay is an old snake. She know better than none of them, in my belief. Emlyn Pay. She ain't good, in my belief, politically. So, boy, watch. The NNP in a real mess, you know, and nobody coming to save them. You hear me? Nobody coming to save NNP. NNP in a mess. So Emlyn Pay, they put some blows on Peter too, you know. Yeah. She put some blows on Peter. So Emlyn Pay said this about Peter.
And I am deeply hurt over an incident that took place in the town of St. George. And I believe it would be against my conscience if I did not use this platform this afternoon to send a very important message that we ought not to use our desperation as a tool to destroy the young people of this country. About a week ago, brothers and sisters, some young people went out in the town of St. George. And their mission was, among other things, to educate the young people in the town of St. George of the opportunities that are available through this government for their development. One of the programs was the GTEP program, which many of you are familiar with. And they came back on the first day and said to me, Senator Pierre, we are very concerned. And the people of the town of St. George are very concerned about the issue of drugs and alcohol. I am hurt. Because on the second day, when they went out, the second day, they were followed by the representative for the town of St. George, Honorable Peter David. And I would have stood here today and be woman enough to praise Peter David if he had gone out there supporting and encouraging these young people. But I'll tell you what he did. They were in a shop with guys using alcohol, smoking marijuana, and they handed the guys who were there a leaflet which showed the many opportunities that this government is providing, not just for young people, but for the people of this country. And Mr. David walked in. He took away the paper, put it in his pocket, and what did he do to show his love for the young people of the town? He left 2/8 of rum and a round of beers. Brothers and sisters, that is why I say to you, it is not just about talking youth. It is not just about saying that you love young people. It is about demonstrating your true love for the young people of this country.
Right, so that's Emlyn Pay, you know. That's Emlyn Pay putting some blows on Peter. So it's a well-planned thing, you know. They don't want Peter in the NNP, but they would embarrass him publicly, and Keith knows how to do it. Because Keith wants to run again to be leader of NNP or to remain leader of NNP. And he wants to use Emlyn as a little, you know, washy-wash as the deputy. And then Dwight Horsford, they want to walk him like a horse because, you know, his nickname is Horsey, right? Either a horse or a donkey. And it's just sad. So Keith Mitchell is publicly taking Peter David's manhood away from him. You think he's easy. You're a man. But you're not working there. They leave you in the house. And the woman going out and work. And you have to stay home and wash your drawers, wash everything, all your clothes, sweep the house, iron, clean, cook. And then you can't talk. And she decides she bring in a next man in the house and you still can't talk. So you're like a poo-poo nunu inside. Watch. That is exactly what, figuratively, of course, what the NNP, Keith Mitchell and all them doing to Peter David. Poor Peter David, you know. Poor fella. I'm sorry for him in a kind of way, you know. But he deserved it. You see what that man did to Uncle Tilly? You see what he did to Uncle Tilly? You mad or what? That must happen to Peter David. So they're planning against him. But I still want to tell Peter, I still want to tell you, fight with them for it. Stand up to them for it and fight with them and deal with them. I want a bloodbath in the NNP. You know? I want the NNP I want them to fight in the open. I want them to scramble on convention day. If they believe they go run Peter before, but because the strategy is to frustrate Peter, to embarrass him, to humiliate him, to insult him. So he's going to run, he going to resign, and he going to run. That is what they want. But I don't want that to happen. I want them to fight. Remember, I said that in a previous program. So some of those pundits of the NNP, they cut out a little piece and they join it up and they say, well, Kem Jones said this about the NDC. Kem Jones said this about... That's how they do it. But here it is. I want them to cut out that piece and join it up and so on. I want to see a bloodbath in the new National Party. I want to see that. I want them to fight, scramble for it. Because there's 3 factions within the NNP and they're fighting. Who pulling so. But what we must prevent them from causing that same fight and strife and division and divisiveness and tribalism from rolling over, spilling over into Grenada generally, Carriacou and Petit Martinique. Let them keep it in the NNP. We don't want that in Grenada. We don't want instability in Grenada. We don't want tribalism in Grenada. We don't want this kind of bitterness and divisiveness in our politics. We don't want that. Let them stay in the house and fight. Let the NNP fight among themselves there. Because you realize the strategy from day one was to make sure that Peter doesn't get leadership. So what the NNP did was to come out and announce they have leads, constituency leads. You know, you're supposed to have caretakers, but they have constituency leads, transition lead, all kind of name. And then they start having the delegates who were there before, they push them to the side, then they start getting new ones, getting this one, getting that one. Is a whole mess, a whole pile of mess. NNP is a whole pile of mess at this point. It's sad. That was the party that they say could have controlled things and they organized. And look at the new nasty party is in crisis because one old man, Keith Mitchell, is one bad-minded, nasty piece of thing. This guy's a nasty piece of thing, you know. I'm telling you, Keith Mitchell is a wicked, nasty piece of thing. This guy been there for 40 years in the politics, you know. 40 years. How many people are wrong is 40 years old in Grenada? The guy been there for 40 years, but he still wants to hang on and remain there. What this man couldn't do in 40 years that he could do in 5 years or 4 years or 3 years or 2 years or 1. What really? I'm asking. In other words, I'm using another analogy. You're young, you're strong, you're drinking a lot of CMOS, right? Even a little babande from time to time. You can't make a child. No matter what you do, you can't make a child. But when you're old in your 70s, 80s, you believe you could throw down any young tree and you could make a child. You go make one. You go breed something. You go breed somebody. That is how this man is acting. And that's an analogy. He's acting that way. You're young, you're strong, you're big. You understand? You can't make a child. You can't make. Huh? And now you, come on. What's wrong with you? What's wrong with you? Where don't move there? Boy, move there, boy. Move there. But he's still fighting. Fighting for what? You go throw down them young tree and them, you go throw down that young tree. Wrong with you? Huh? You can't even stand up. You don't realize you can't stand up? And when I say you can't stand up physically, yeah, you can't stand up. Huh? What's wrong with your foot? You can't. Boy, move there now, boy. What's wrong with you? The man been there 40 years. 40 years, you know. not 14, you know, 40 years. What you think you couldn't do in 40 years, 20-something years as prime minister, 40 years in the parliament, that you could do in 4 years, 5 years? Huh? Wrong with you? Wrong with that old man? Wrong with he? Boy, move there. Grenadians have moved forward. We ain't going back there with your old dirty politics. You don't see Keith Mitchell on the stage and the NNP and them. Lorena Waldron, yes? But when Lorena Waldron come out, what storeroom this woman was in? What political storeroom? What shelf Lorena Waldron was on? Lorena, yes? And mind you, she didn't get good treatment from the same individual, you know. She didn't get good treatment from Popo Black. No, she didn't get good treatment from that same Kribo. That same Morocco. She didn't get good treatment. Lorena Waldron, what storeroom you were in? Where that dust you out from? You understand? And then I see they resurrect Yolan. It's a whole pile of geriatrics. Where they get them? It's amazing, you know. But anytime Keith Mitchell realized that things closing in and he started to get frightened, he always does go and get them old folks on them that he been around to cover him, to shield him, to be around him. It is sad. We're in 2024, you know. The man cannot even say Wi-Fi, he's saying Wi-Fi. The man cannot even use a smart device. He want paper, all in the parliament. He want paper. Keith Mitchell, why don't move there, boy? Move there. Move there. Grenadians don't want you. They don't want you around. Move there. So his meetings have become a comedy show, you know. The man has no substance. The NNP meetings have become a laughing at. If you want therapy, that's where you're getting it. I'm telling you, it is sad. Some people don't know when to exit. Exit. You don't know when to exit. You use up your usefulness. Your best before date that gone long. You're no longer useful politically. And mind you, Peter is not different from him, you know. All of them is the same thing. They're useless. They've been around so long. But that's good for Peter. Anyway, Peter Day is problems. The revolution, Gary / the revolution, problems. NDC come with Uncle Tilly, problems. He move over to the NNP, now more problems. Problems also anyway, Peter Day is problems. You hear me? But I am saying this to say to you out there, folks, we're moving forward. We don't have time for this old bacchanal politics, this old school melee politics that Keith Mitchell wants to continue, this divisive politics, this politics full of tribalism and hate and jealousy. Keith Mitchell jealous. The most honorable Deacon Mitchell in my belief, you know. The guy jealous. He envious. He hate the fact that he no longer driving in them 2 black vehicles. He no longer could go in them church as prime minister and, you know, the shot man trying to think up his chest as though, you know, and sometimes he beat it just like King Kong. Keith Mitchell. And when you go by the church, you see some SSU with all kind of big old gun protecting who? The man jealous, he vex. He don't have that. You have that kind of power and privilege. You got that money, you know. When you don't have power, it's waste of time. The money is useless. He has to go in the same line like anybody else. The guy is no longer no prime minister or nothing. In fact, the guy making mistake and believe that he's still prime minister, you know. Yeah, he miss it. This old Crebo, he miss it. You understand the point? I am saying all of this, folks, because you see, Keith Mitchell, in my belief, is dangerous for our democracy. Dangerous. His type of politics and style, dangerous. You hearing all kind of name calling as giving this and giving that to Karako and P.T. Martinick today. A young lady, I don't know if she wants me to call her name, so let me hold it back. She came from the United States, you know, just to set up a number of funds to help the people of Karako and P.T. Martinick. You hear Keith Mitchell name call as giving anything to Karako and P.T. Martinick. Keith Mitchell has $19 million. Not one pig pen this man opened to create any jobs in this place. Not a pig pen. The man keeping all the money. Keith Mitchell is one of the most nastiest, bad-minded piece of creature that ever come on the face of the earth. You know? I told you before, if God visit Kem Jones and he asked me, Kem, tell me one wish you want me to fulfill for you. I will tell God, I say, please take me back to 1946. And even 9 months before that, night or day, when that thing was going down. And I would give to that man who caused that creature to be on the face of the earth. One among the condom, that piece of thing could have never come on the face of the earth. Grenada would have been a better place. Way better place. That's one wish I would have loved to be fulfilled. Grenada would have been a far better place. This creature don't like this country, Grenada. He like himself. He like power. And when you see he can't get it there, he gets in. You know, watch. That man speaking it. And he missing out words he can't pronounce words. And mind you, he lose some weight too, you know. He lose some weight. He too hungry for power. He hungry for power. You're not going to get it. You would never get it again. We will make sure that we will never get power again in this country. This nasty, wicked piece of old man. But here it is. There are some old people, elderly people, senior people. They age graciously. They spend time with their family, their grandkids, and they travel. But what a man want? What you want? Why don't go in Spain on some nude beach and shake your dingiling, no? Go there and shake your dingiling. Huh? Go on some nude beach and enjoy your money, no? All your millions and all your millions. Go and enjoy your money. You're no good. Grenada is where it is because this man, you watch, this man caused Grenada to be where, you know, in other words, watch, Lord, go in Spain and spend your money. Go there and spend, go on them nude beach and them now and enjoy your thing now. Go and leave Grenada alone now. Folks, I want to wish you all the best. Have a wonderful night and let NNP continue to fight and let them continue to scramble. Fight. I love to see what happens in NNP. And I want to see a political bloodbath. Fight. A little damn bad-minded and nasty. All you cause this country to be, you know, fighting to survive. The new nasty party. All you ain't good. Fight. They're fighting among themselves. Why is it that the NNP and all them old Lord, folks, have a good night. Take good care. Thanks for sharing the program. Have a wonderful night. Right? Real pressure.